Hello and welcome.
You have to get to a point where you say enough, and you have to kind of identify what all the shoulds are in your life. Every time you say should, turn it into must, turn it into have to, and all of a sudden you're like, well, now you got to do it. You can't just, it's not a should. A should is just an easy way to get out of any kind of should. And I said, well, so I must exercise, and I must meditate, and I must read, and I must continue to learn, and I must be good to my parents, and I must speak kindly to myself so that I could then speak kindly to others, and it's just, it's easy to say, it's harder to do.
Right.
And anyone out there that's listening could say, yeah, I hear this kind of stuff all the time, give it a try. Start just something small,
right.
Something.
To the Cardinal Way for Men, transformational, candid conversations with men, next man up. And it's a pleasure to have my friend Cory here with us today. And Cory and I met at our apartment complex. Actually, he's probably one of the first people I met when I moved down to the Asheville area. And through our connection, I've realized that he's on this personal development journey based on the books that he's reading, the conversations we've had, the people he surrounds himself with. And so I thought he would be a great guest to have on to help men out there just learn more about some of the challenges that Cory's had, but how he's overcome them and how he lives his life. I think it can be very helpful for men out there. So, welcome, Cory.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And let's start off with how you got involved and what made you sort of take that journey down the personal development path.
Right. Well, I always, when I was younger, I was always in shape and active and playing sports and all that kind of stuff, but I got to a point in my life where I just became very complacent, and I was married, and I started making more money, and I thought I could eat all the things I wanted to eat, and since I wasn't really happy in my marriage, I think there was probably some depression going on as well, and I gained a lot of weight. And I cared, but not enough to do something about it, and I ballooned up to over 300 pounds, which people who meet me now that never knew me back then can't believe that I was ever that bad.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. So what happened was that I talked to a nutritionist, and they did my blood work. It wasn't an actual doctor; it was a nutritionist, and said my A1C was high, my blood pressure was high, my thyroid function was low. I mean, everything was just bad. And the pandemic hit, and my job. I sell insurance. I was going out and meeting with people and businesses and business owners on a regular basis, and I couldn't do that anymore for a while. So I had all this free time on my hands. I said, that's it. Once she told me that my health was bad, I said, I'm not going to take any medications. I'm going to figure out naturally how I can lose weight and get in shape and be a better version of myself. Enough of this. Enough of just not doing anything about it. And so I started walking every day and putting my AirPods on and just saying I'm going to exercise. And I got the Apple Watch. And my dad was down here in Asheville doing 10,000 steps a day. I said, well, I'll do 10,000 steps a day. We could hold each other accountable. And I just started walking every day, walking, trying to shore up my eating. And so that became a habit. And then I was like, wait, instead of listening to music, I could listen to books on tape about nutrition and about intermittent fasting and about ketosis and about spirituality and just all kinds of emotional intelligence, all these things to become a better version. So I started doing that, and that started becoming a habit. And I realized, then I read books like Atomic Habit and The Slight Edge and certain books that just got my brain thinking, wait a second, if I could change this habit to a good habit, I could change all kinds of things to good habits. And I started to build up this momentum and started to, it became clear the vision of who I could potentially be, and it became exciting. It became like the new drug for me, but like kind of a good drug in a way that it kind of motivated me to continue to evolve. And then I moved down here, got out of the marriage, which ended up being a very good thing for me personally, and I moved down here and continued on this journey. And then eventually met the woman that I'm with now, Sarah, who's just so wonderful, and she wouldn't have looked twice at me if I was 300 pounds, you know? So, I don't know, I mean, probably, but she was turned on by the fact that I was into this personal development thing, and that was something that she was drawn to.
Right.
And my life is, I can't even believe how it was back then. My life is totally different and better now, and I'm happy, and it's amazing how much your life can transform if you just, but something has to happen to motivate that change.
Yeah. So you changed your eating habits. You started feeding your mind positive, inspirational, motivational material. And because you made some changes, you attracted the woman of your dreams. It's probably, I'm guessing, because this happened in my life, after I got divorced, I imagined the type of woman I wanted to be with.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Yeah. I mean, she's more than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about, she's just so high, and I just can't believe that I found her, and that she was available, and that she doesn't have any children, and that, all these things. But, it's just, you have to get to a point where you say enough, and you have to kind of identify what all the shoulds are in your life. Every time you say should, turn it into must, turn it into have to, and all of a sudden you're like, well, now you got to do it. You can't just, it's not a should. A should is just an easy way to get out of any kind of should. And I said, well, so I must exercise, and I must meditate, and I must read, and I must continue to learn, and I must be good to my parents, and I must speak kindly to myself so that I could then speak kindly to others, and it's just, it's easy to say, it's harder to do.
Right.
And anyone out there that's listening could say, yeah, I hear this kind of stuff all the time, but give it a try. Start just something small, right. Something that is achievable. Say, I'm going to do, 50 push-ups a day. Not at one time, but over a set of time. I think I've told you this before, that, when you start doing something and you're looking to get results, a lot of times that's not good. If you do something because you know it's the right thing to do, if I do 50 push-ups a day, then at some point, I'm going to see the results. Right. You don't know when it's going to be, but don't do push-ups for 5 days and think you're going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. You got to keep doing it, yes. And you got to create that habit. And I think that something being process-driven versus being results-driven is better. I'm going to do 10,000 steps a day for 6 months. Do it for 6 months, and you'll see a difference after 6 months, or at least you'll have created the habit. Right. And then you can say, what else can I do? What else can I build on top of that? But you got to get a snowball started, and then once you start rolling, it becomes easier and easier to roll. So it's just about starting that process.
Yes, you get momentum. It's like, I've heard the analogy, you're pushing that big boulder up the hill, the mountain, and you have to be persistent,
keep going,
consistent with it. And then eventually, when you get to the top of the starts rolling down, that's where the momentum.
That's what momentum. Yeah, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah. And I like what you said. It's about the journey. It's about the process. It's not about the destination. So enjoying the journey and taking small baby steps. Mm-hmm. So you're setting yourself up for success. You're not taking something on that's unrealistic, right. Or it's too big of a stretch for yourself. Little baby steps to get to that point of what you want.
Right, because the more you do something, the more you identify with that person. So if you want to identify yourself as a runner, every time you go run, you're putting in a bid to become identified as a runner, you know, or a tennis player, or a meditator, or a cook, a chef that cooks good food for you, whatever it happens to be. You just got to keep doing it and keep doing it. Eventually, once you identify with it, it becomes easier to do it, because then you start buying the right shoes and buying the right outfit to wear for when you go work out or trail running or whatever it happens to be that you're into. You start identifying and getting the things, and you're like, wow, now I'm that guy that does that. Now I'm the guy that cooks healthy food. Now I'm the guy that, you know, meditates or whatever it happens to be, or does community service, or whatever you're looking to improve in your life. You have to say, what is something that I could do every day to get closer to being that person? Right. And as you do it, you'll learn something else will be revealed to you that you can do, and something else, but you have to start that process, or else you're just going to stay status quo and nothing's going to change.
Right. You had lent a book to me, We Need to Hang Out.
And
it's about the struggles that men have connecting with other men because of cultural conditioning, because of the way the message we get from maybe our families, from the media. And because of that, men are isolated, disconnected, and lonely. How have you overcome some of the cultural conditioning that we've been exposed to, as far as men aren't supposed to cry or express emotions? They're supposed to be able to do it on their own, not reach out for help. How have you overcome that?
Yeah.
Or didn't you ever struggle with that?
I don't really think I did.
I just want to check this. Yeah, see, it's going.
You can always have it.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I think that cultural norms and what people say in society, or what you see in movies or these sitcoms and stuff, you can't believe any of that stuff. I mean, everybody's got blends of everything. You know, I cook, I do laundry, I do things that would maybe be considered feminine, you know, but my girlfriend doesn't. She loves that I do those things. And she does a lot of masculine things too, and that's okay with me. You can't really worry. We're each on our own journey. We're different based on how we were brought up, or what feels good to us, or what we enjoy doing. You can't let any of that stuff bother you. And if anybody judges you or looks at you differently or calls you something because you're doing something that's masculine or feminine or whatever, then that's on them.
Yeah.
You know, that has nothing to do with you. You stay on your journey. You do what is right, and continue to evolve and improve upon every aspect that you enjoy about yourself.
Right. Did you have a male role model that kind of taught you that it was okay to be however you are?
Yeah, I mean, my dad. I mean, growing up, my dad was always my role model, but he wasn't like a fixer-upper, fix the house, lift heavy things kind of guy, you know. He cooked and he did certain things, and I don't know. I never really was concerned about that. No one ever told me that I was anything other than just a regular guy, you know, and so I just never let that stuff bother me. I don't look at other people and say, oh, he's manly, I want to be more like him,
right.
You know, because there's something about him that, you know, maybe he doesn't like it, or maybe I don't want all that stuff.
Right.
And so you just have to be true to yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
How are you regarding expressing feelings and emotions? Is that something that you're comfortable with?
Maybe sometimes a little bit too comfortable. I'm a very emotional person, and I feel lots of feelings. So when something is really important to me, or if I get into an argument with my girlfriend or my ex-wife, I get really emotional about it, and it's not always the greatest way to be. It's good to have emotion, it's good to have passion, but you also have to be able to control your emotions. So that's why learning about the emotional intelligence, I knew that was something that I could learn from and become a better person and ultimately a better partner to my partner, because I'm able to manage my emotions now. And I can say, hey, this is something that's important to me. Let's have a conversation about it. I'm curious about this. And instead of getting all upset and bent out of shape, and then you end up, you know, maybe saying things that you will regret.
Right.
So, yeah.
when you envision your life or what you feel your purpose is or your mission in life, what would you say that is?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't always think about yourself, because you want to do the best for yourself. You want to feed yourself the right things and be healthy and be happy and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, I want to make a difference in other people's lives or in the state of the health of the earth that we live on. Try to live in community and work off the land and live off the land and learn to be more simple, kind of simplify my life. I don't need to be all extravagant and have boats and houses. And people want to do that, that's for them. But I want to be able to wake up every morning and do something that I feel proud about, passionate about, that I'm affecting people's lives in a positive way.
And have a purpose.
And have a purpose.
Yeah. And how is that sort of transpiring in your life? Is that happening now, or is there something that you're envisioning in the future where you're going to be able to do more of that?
It's not happening as much now as I'd like it to. There are some people in my life that have kind of gravitated to me because they see that I have a way of being confident, talking to people, and being in big crowds. I could talk with anybody, and they're like, "Wow, I want to be a good communicator like you are." So there are certain things there. I think that I see my role in the future as maybe being somebody who can teach. People always say, "Cory, you should be a teacher." I didn't want to be a teacher, but I do like teaching other people things that I've learned. And so now I'm getting to a point in my life where we're going to be farming and doing a lot of stuff on the homestead, and I'm going to be learning all kinds of things. And I want to be able to teach that to other people to help them grow food for themselves or build a community for themselves, and to be in a situation where they could be surrounded by people who could help them and they could all work together. Many hands make light work. So I don't want to be by myself with just my girlfriend. I love being with her, but we want other people around us, community around us, so that if we need to go on vacation, there's people to take care of that. Or if she gets sick, and I have to go there's somebody to take care of. Or if we have a dog that needs to be watched, or whatever the case may be, we could all be there for each other. So I think surrounding myself with people that I like, that I want to be around, that I want to live in community with, that seems to be the best situation for me. I think it sounds great. Yeah.
That's awesome. So if there was one thing that you could say to the men that will be watching this or listening before we wrap up, this will be the last question. What would be your words of wisdom for men out there as far as being happier, healthier, more fulfilled in your life?
I would say don't just accept where you are, and you have to figure out where you're self-limiting. We're all self-limiting. The potential for every one of us is unlimited. It's just a matter of being able to say, okay, I'm thinking this. You have to know what your. I guess what I'm saying is you have to say, I'm capable of doing anything. I'm capable of being in shape. I'm capable of being a good father, a good spouse, a good student, a good whatever, teacher, whatever it happens to be. And don't limit yourself. And say, what can I do to become better? Who can I surround myself? Surround yourself with people who inspire you to become better. If you're hanging out with people that are sitting around playing video games and doing nothing all day long, then that's who you're going to become.
Exactly.
Find people like Ed, or like people that are motivating, that go out and exercise, that meditate, that eat right, that do all the things that would make you feel like you're a better version of yourself. And don't settle, and never give up. Never think you're too old to learn new things. Neuroplasticity is a real thing. Our brain is we're able to retrain our brains to do anything we want. And visualize who you want to be, and then figure out what are a couple of things that I could do to start moving in that direction.
Yeah.
And start moving in that direction, and then try to keep yourself open for signs of other things that you can do to improve your life.
Right. Yeah, I love what you said. It's never too late. Mm-hmm. As you said, that the brain is very pliable. You know, and it's continues to expand and grow according to how we treat it and how we think. And
you can create new pathways and new ways of thinking, and really it's about rituals. And I said this to you before, like, we all have rituals, things that we do every day. Sometimes they're good things, sometimes they're not so good things. But creating new rituals in your life will help you to become a different person, the same person, but a better version of yourself, if the rituals are geared toward improving some aspect of your life.
Or some people might call them habits. Habits. To create that lifestyle that is going to support what it is that you're meant to do.
Right.
And your body is the vessel. Your thoughts are going to help you get there. So make them good ones. Right. And the way you speak to yourself.
The way you speak to yourself is so important. The language you use when you talk to yourself. If you're not going to be kind to yourself, then you're probably not going to be kind to other people. Absolutely. But if you could be kind to yourself and speak positively to yourself, there's another thing that I wanted to say that I think is really important, is that you don't always feel like doing the things that you know are best for you. Do them anyway. So it's like, it may not feel like this is the day you want to exercise, but don't make it, just do it. Do it, because I find there are times where I go down to Beaver Lake. I don't want to go down to Beaver Lake and run. But I'm like, I'm going to go anyway. And once I get down there and I start running around that lake, I'm like so happy that I made that choice. So whether you feel like doing it or not, set things that you know are the right things to do, and then do them whether you want to or not. And eventually they'll become a habit, and it'll be better for you.
Right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to speak, and I know you've, in our conversations before, you've also talked about being grateful, believing if you have a dream, believe you can get there, and taking action steps to get there.
Sure. You have to have confidence. If you want to have the belief that you can actually be that way, then you got to put in the work. You got to put in the action. You got to have a vision. You got to put in the action, and then that belief will eventually come when you start to see the results.
Absolutely.
And if you're not seeing the results, then either you got to put in more action, or you need to change the trajectory of what you're doing. But the belief is really important. But sometimes the belief doesn't come until you start putting in the action. Right. And then once you start seeing progress, then the belief will come. And if you don't have the belief beforehand, then manufacture the belief.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just keep at it, and eventually, hopefully, you'll believe.
That's right. That's right.
Thanks again, Cory.
No problem.
I'm gonna post in the description a link to my men's letter. It's a bi-weekly men's letter. I write about men's issues, health suggestions. I think you're on that.
Yes, I am.
Too.
Cardinal Way.
Yeah, the men's letter.
Yes.
So I'm going to post that link in the description. Thanks for joining us today, and until you see me again, be well. Take care. Bye bye.